spark of inspiration is at the heart of all creation.
Spark a dream that we're meant to follow.
You're listening to the Extra Magic Hour, brought to you by Walt's Apartment Podcast and the DisInsider. Join the team in the studio as they bring you the spirit of Disney through park news, history, and tips and tricks to make your Disney Parks vacation even more magical.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to the Extra Magic Hour. We're a Disney Parks podcast brought to you by DisInsider.com and Getaway Today. My name is Shawn, and I'm joined by my fellow co-host, Mr. Ethan. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I am doing very well, Shawn. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
I'm excited to be a part of the Extra Magic Hour.
Right?
This will be a lot of fun.
Well, I figured this made sense because we have myself and Shawn, who are more Disneyland guys, right? We have Breanna and Sam, who are Walt Disney World. You know, because Breanna might be both. Breanna goes back and forth. Breanna now lives in Arizona, so I mean, she's going to be going to Disneyland more. And then Sam and yourself are Walt Disney World. So
that's right.
I think it's going to be a good mixture. I know we're working on getting everyone back. I know Breanna's got some work things. Sam has some work things. Shawn's working with some stuff with his family. So you were the perfect fit to bring on here. So we have a consistent core every single week, and it's just going to be fun. We're going to talk about the parks, which is what I've always wanted this show to be, was let's just talk about Disney parks. Let's talk about Disney parks. Normally when Sam is on, she will do her Imagineer focus and Breanna will do her travel tips. But tonight we're going to talk about some parks news. I want to talk about, you're a DVC member, right?
I am. Yes.
So at the end, I wanted you to just kind of explain what that program is, how it works. We don't need to get into financials or whatever, but just kind of what it is, what kind of perks you get with it. But news wise, I'll start off. Disneyland announced last week the Magic Key program, which a couple months ago when everyone got their refund back from their annual pass, everyone like, what the heck's going to happen? Then they made all the pass holders legacy pass holders. You got a cool new purple sticker that said you're a legacy pass holder, which just means it's retired and you're no longer a pass holder. So they still got discounts being a legacy pass holder, because when I was there a couple weeks ago, they kept asking, are you a legacy pass holder? And I'm like, no, but can I be? And they're like, no, you can't. We don't have the program right now. But last Thursday I want to say it was last Wednesday, possibly, because I think we talked about it before Chris's episode. But they come out with it's called a Magic Key. It's basically an annual pass program, but they call it the Magic Key. There's 4 levels to it. The first level is it's a little bit different than a regular annual pass. Annual pass says you could go whenever you want, specific blackout days depending on when you want to go. This one here, because Disney has said for a long time that the reservation system is going nowhere. Yeah. Which I don't know if you're a fan of it. I think it's brilliant. I think it's a brilliant idea on their point, because they can plan how many people are going to be in the park. Yep. They can plan staffing, because let's be honest, it's hard to find people to work right now. I know Disneyland's running at about a little over half of their capacity. I think they're up to 19,000 employees now. Normally they run with 30. So they're nowhere near where they're supposed to be. But there's 4 stages to this. The lowest stage is, I don't remember what they're called right now, but the lowest stage is $399.
It's not bad.
Which is, and you get, the way it works is you get 4. I'm actually going to bring it up here real quick to talk about some Walt Disney World news real quick while I bring up the Magic Key. I want to get the specifics for it.
So I sort of have a little feel-good story, which I always really love to kind of start off about Walt Disney World, because it's a feel-good place. Recently, not so good news was there was a dog left in a vehicle at Hollywood Studios, but through the power of Facebook and the power of people, the fire department was able to get into the vehicle and rescue the canine. And I think, what's interesting, and I always like to sort of have a moral compass about things, but, if you're going to bring your dog to Disney, don't leave it in the car.
Right. I mean, come on. Yeah.
Like, use some common sense. And I think that's something that I talk a lot about. When I was podcasting on The Wolf of Main Street, I talked a lot about that, using common sense. So just ensure that you're using some common sense when you're bringing your dog.
Yeah, for sure. Was that the one with the firefighter? They were showing a lot of pictures of the firefighter. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
go ahead.
The only other thing that I can talk about a little bit is they have started to bring out the Halloween stuff at Walt Disney World, which is really exciting. My wife, Jen, is a huge Halloween fan. It's probably her favorite holiday. And they released some new Hocus Pocus merchandise that I have already started to pay for. But just exciting for sure.
Yeah, things are changing. Touching on Halloween, Disneyland does the Haunted Mansion makeover and the Small World. Now they'll do Small World. Will they do that now? They'll do that later. I'm sorry, but they do Haunted Mansion for Halloween and Christmas because for the Nightmare Before Christmas, and I think it's going to shut down here in the next couple of weeks, and it'll open back up right after Labor Day for when the Halloween season starts at Disneyland. I believe it's already started at Walt Disney World, correct? It's just in the beginning phases.
Just
there.
In the beginning phases. I think the first Boo Bash is just a couple weeks away, so I know that they're trying to prepare for that as quickly as possible. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm always marveled by the fact that the whole scape, the whole idea of Disney changes the moment a big holiday like this comes into play. It's so incredible. The amount of details go into everything.
Oh, for sure.
The lighting, the pumpkins. Oh, it's just it's truly incredible.
I'm excited because we're going down in October again to Disneyland, and it's the first time ever I've seen it for Halloween. I've only went in the spring or the summer, just that's when it's easier for school. But we're going in the middle of October, which I'm so excited for, to see Halloween, to see the Haunted Mansion as Nightmare Before Christmas. I've never seen it, and I'm just so excited for it.
That's awesome.
Let me get back to the Magic Key here real quick. There are four levels of it. The first one's called the Imagine Key. Okay. And how this works is this is only for Southern California residents. So this is kind of like they compare this to what was called the Flex Pass before, which you could use anywhere, but Flex Pass was mainly used for just down Southern California. But this one's $3.99, and you can hold up to 2 reservations in a 90-day period at any time. So in a 90-day period, you can hold 2 park reservations.
Okay,
not bad for $400 considering it's $200 for one park hopper.
Exactly.
So I mean, you pay for it and you use it twice, you've used it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of blackout dates on this one, a lot of weekends you can go, but people know that Monday through Friday are usually the best days to go to Disneyland. So it's a good time to go if you can plan to go down there. And it's $3.99 for that one. The Enchant Key, which is the one that me and Lisa will be getting because we won't be going enough, but it's $6.49, and you can hold 4 reservations in a 90-day window. So
that's awesome.
And the cool thing is that if you book out 4 times, right? And say I booked out 4 times and I went tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. Then when that one falls off, I can book another one.
But right.
So it's not just 4 in 90 days. It's 4 in how many times you can actually make a reservation in that 90-day period. So
it's kind of like in the car business, it's one or the other. It's
pretty much
or mileage.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then people are saying on this one, they're saying it's kind of hard to plan like a 5-day trip to Disneyland. It's hard to go to Disneyland for 5 days, in my opinion. I'm a huge Disneyland guy, but to go there 4 days, I think is perfect.
Gotcha.
For me, I can't wait. So that one's $6.49, and you get 10% off merchandise and 10% off select food and beverage.
That's a healthy discount.
That's for sure. Good. And then the Believe Key, which is $9.49. You can have 6 theme park reservations in a 90-day period. Hang on one second here. Excuse me. So you have six. You get 10% off select merchandise. You get 10% off food and beverage, and 50% off theme park parking. Mickey and Friends parking structure is $25 to park in. So you get that for half off, and you can book 6 times. All of these passes, you can do monthly payments if you live in the state of California.
Nice. That's awesome.
Now the Walt Disney World one, I believe you can do monthly payments anywhere, correct?
Correct. Yep. Whether you're a resident or not. And as of right now, we're still gold, silver, gold, platinum as of right now. But I think the key to the kingdom, the key to the parks, I think will catch on over here in
I agree.
Walt Disney World areas as well, because I think that's a really catchy. I think people will catch on to that. People will really like the theme and the sort of the wording of that. So that'll be really interesting to see.
And then the last one is called the Dream Key, which is the big one. It's $13.99, which still is not bad because the $13.99, there's no blackout dates.
There you go.
You can go whenever you like. Yep. You still get 6 park reservations in that 90-day period. 20% off merchandise, 15% off food and beverage, select food and beverage items, and free parking.
Woo!
So
wow.
You think about that. If you go 10, 15 times a year, it's $25 a time. You're saving the money right there.
And if you're a resident, that's when it really starts to pay for itself.
Oh, for sure.
I think the other thing too that's really intriguing about that is I'll be curious to see over the course of the next 2 to 3 years what they'll do in terms of increase. I know with Walt Disney World they've increased pretty regularly. So I'll be interested to see what they do, to those in terms of a bump, because that's traditionally what happens. Everything goes up in price. Nothing ever goes down. But it'll be interesting to see what the next sort of bump will be, because I think right now, just listening to you sort of talk about those numbers, like those aren't really all that bad.
Well, they're basically what they were before. Before COVID, and everyone thought, "Oh my God, they're going to rip us off." When they announce this thing, they're just going to take it.
Yeah, I would encourage, take advantage of it now. If you're thinking like, "Oh, it's kind of expensive," take advantage of it now, because it's only going to get more expensive years from now. That's
true. And you can. The cool thing about these, which I thought was cool, so they go on sale August 25th, right? So you can buy them then. A couple of cool things about this. You can start using it August 25th.
That's awesome.
So if you live in Southern California and you buy this pass, and for any reason you go on the website and there's a reservation, you can take it and go to Disneyland that day if you're that close to want to do it. So I think that's cool.
Awesome.
Some other cool things about this is if you have tickets already, which we talked about this on the live show a little bit. If you have a Disneyland 2-day park hopper pass, which is like $300 or $290, I think, whatever I just spent when we went down there. You can go to the park, and on the last day of your stay, go to the ticket booth and upgrade your pass, and apply the price of that to that.
Yep. Walt Disney World allows you to do the same.
They do that as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I've been a annual pass holder now since 2015. So I haven't had that luxury where I've had to buy the day pass, but I think when we first went for the first time in 2015, that's what we did. I think we had like a 4 or 5 day hopper, and then we utilized the funds and they were able to make it work. Whatever the differential was, we paid, and we've been
pretty cool
pass holders ever since. It's awesome in theory. Like, you've already paid for a portion of it, just upgrade and you're just paying the difference. I think it's an absolutely awesome idea.
And also, speaking of Walt Disney World, I have heard rumors. I've seen a lot of speculation that they will have some kind of plan put together by October 1st, which is the 50th anniversary for Walt Disney World. So I think they're going to see how the sales go for Disneyland, and they're going to say, "Is this going to work?" Yeah. I mean, it might be different there. I don't know. Are you a pass holder now?
I am. Yep. Yeah. So actually, we just renewed. Jen was there a couple weeks ago, and she renewed our passes while we were there. So we have a trip planned. We normally go in October, but this year, because of the 50th anniversary, we weren't able to find the best pricing for accommodation, and we decided that we would go in November instead. So we have a trip planned for November. That's our next big trip out, and my wife was there just a couple weeks ago, so she's always there.
Nice. Well, that doesn't suck.
No.
We're going again in October. I was just there in
awesome.
July. Yeah, we haven't even had an extra magic hour since I've been at Disneyland. So it was great. Disneyland was great. It was good to be back. Spent a ton of money. I mean, this time it was nice to do that. We were able to just actually take our time. We stay right across the street.
I saw you had a couple really nice dinners and brunch or breakfast at one point.
Yeah, brunch at the Lamplighter Lounge. Oof, so good. So good. It was cool to be back, which I'm like, we need to do this more often. We've had our October trip planned for a while. Yep. It's the continuation of our trip we didn't have last year. So we actually are able to go in October. We're going to go for 4 days. We'll be in the parks for 4 days. Can't wait for that. We're going to get in March. When we get this pass, I was telling Lisa, I said, we're going to go in January. We're going to go in May. We'll go every other month. I don't care.
Right.
Because the flights are cheap from here,
Exactly. Even if you just go down for a couple days, which that sort of has become our Walt Disney World trips. We go down for a weekend and we take in everything that we can, everything that we love as quickly and as much as possible. And some people think we're crazy for it. Some people, look at us weird, but we go down and we enjoy every minute. We get to all 4 parks. We do the stuff that we love, and it turns out to be a beautiful weekend for us.
Yeah,
so.
For sure. So Yeah, that's kind of the news going on. Also, if you get the pass in the first 66 days, you get a cool bunch of swag that they send you as well. So yeah,
that's cool.
You get a pin, you get some other cool stuff, and yeah. So check it out. Disney Magic Key will be coming out next time we record. I will be a Magic Key holder, so I'm pretty excited. So, yeah, so we were gonna do the what am I thinking? The change up,
change up Tuesday.
But you know what? I think what I want to do is I want to wait until we have some of the other hosts back on here and do that. Yeah,
that
I want to keep this show back. I want to keep this a light show, and I really want to talk about DVC because I've looked into it. I've looked at like YouTube videos. I'm like, what? I don't know. So I don't get it. But yeah, we don't need to do an hour. We can do this. I want to talk about DVC, and we're gonna get more consistent with these shows and stuff from here on out. So tell me about DVC.
Absolutely. So the first thing that I tell everyone, and I try to be really transparent about this, is do your research, ask as many questions as possible. When Jen and I first considered it and first really started looking into it, it was we went on a tour and we asked a lot of questions. I work in sales, as you know. I deal with a lot of salespeople, and I try to, whenever I'm working with a salesperson who's trying to sell me something, I always try to ask the question, like, am I really being sold something, or am I getting all the information that I need to make a proper decision? Because there's a difference between being just sold something and being pushed to buy it, as opposed to being given all the information to make an informed decision. So that's the first big grand thing that I'll say about DVC, because there is a lot of information. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of big words that they use to try to confuse you, which I don't really care for. But coming from a sales background, I do think that I do a pretty good job at explaining this. So the way that DVC works is you pay a certain amount of money for a certain amount of points. They call it a point system. And the points are given to you every year. And you have a use year that's based off of the time that you purchase, which is really getting into the nits and grits of it. But on a real broad spectrum, you're given points for the year, and you're able to use those points basically as dollars towards staying on a Disney resort. Okay. And the way that works is you have a login to a separate sort of, I guess you could call it what's the best way to describe that website? It's just basically like a availability check-in, basically. So you get to check the availability of the resorts that are available. When you buy into DVC, you have what's called a home resort. And the big misconception is that you can only stay at that resort, which is completely untrue. I am a DVC holder at Copper Creek. However, I have only stayed there once, and I've been using my points. So Jennifer and I bought DVC for each other. It was our wedding gift to one another. So that was our sort of our handoff as gifts for one another after we got married. Okay. And I believe we bought 175 points at Copper Creek, and we are allowed to utilize those points throughout the course of 1 year. Now, what Disney does is actually really pretty cool. Is those 175 points that you have, you can either utilize them in 1 year, or you can utilize any unused points and put it into the next year.
Oh, that's cool.
That's the only opportunity that you have to use those points again. After the second year, they disappear. So you have to, in theory, let's just make it really easy. If you have 100 points and you roll over 100, you'll have 200, but you're only able to utilize that additional 100 points until the end of that second year. Otherwise, they disappear. Now,
you can't just keep stockpiling up.
Unfortunately not. I wish you could, because then you could utilize it towards some of those bigger places. Mm-hmm. What I try to tell people is you have to look at, so Disney prints out a point list for all of their resorts, and every resort is a little bit different. Animal Kingdom Lodge in Walt Disney World is going to be less points than something like the Grand Floridian. Mm-hmm. So you sort of have to utilize the points to your advantage, and you have to do the research. So for Jennifer and I, we're much more apt to utilize as many points as possible by going to a place like the Animal Kingdom Lodge, where it's 10 to 15 points a night, as opposed to 25 to 35 at
Okay.
somewhere closer to Magic Kingdom or something like that. Now, different months are different amounts of points for each resort. And again, it sort of just falls on you to really understand, do I want to stay at the Grand Floridian? Do I want to stay at Animal Kingdom? Do I want to go over to the boardwalk on the Epcot side of things? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of options, which I don't necessarily know enough about Disneyland to really divulge into their resorts. So I apologize.
Let me ask you this, just a quick question. So can you use them at Disneyland?
You can. You can.
Oh, you can. Okay. So so you have let me just recap real quick. So basically you pick a home and yours is Copper Creek or
Copper Creek.
Copper Creek. But you have those points, but they can be used anywhere, just depending on.
Correct. It sort of depends on where you want to use them. So I could use them on a Disney cruise. You can use them on a Disneyland adventure. Mm-hmm. So you can utilize those points wherever. And they're also actually, to get even deeper, they're also affiliated with RCI, which is the sort of the overhang, if you will, of the entirety. And you can utilize those points towards vacations to Europe, to the Bermuda, Aruba, you name it. So it is very much a timeshare. It's very much a Disney vacation. Your points are more well utilized, however, on Disney property. So you're going to find better deals for your points at the Disney resorts as opposed to going to those other locations. Okay. So unless you're banking, that first year and utilizing the second year. The other thing that you can do as well is you can borrow. So there's banking, there's your use year, and then there's borrowing. So let's just say, again, you have 100 points. You can use up to 300 points in the middle of 1 year. So if you wanted to go to Aulani out in Hawaii, which is a very expensive trip, you can utilize your points to go to Hawaii as well. So
does that go against future points? Is that what it is? They just take away from your future points?
Exactly. So if you use all 300 points in this scenario, you wouldn't have that next year, that third year in theory, you'd have nothing to utilize.
It's just a really complicated car deal is what this is.
Exactly. Yes. And truthfully, that is ultimately how I had to think of it.
Right.
Because I had to think of it in terms of a vehicle and how all that money sort of plays in. It's sort of like a weird lease.
It's like a lease. Yeah.
Because you do have, so the contract is for 50 years if you buy at a brand new resort. So
50 years?
It's a 50-year agreement. But it's 50 years of going to Disney and memories and things.
Yeah, that's true. So you can't argue with that.
Yep. And then that was our thought process so we bought it in 2018 and we said, okay, 50 years from now, are we still going to want to come to Disney World? Are we going to want to take our kids to Disney World? Are we going to want to take our families to Disney World? And what this allows you to do on a bigger spectrum is it allows you to get a bigger room. So you don't get anything less than a deluxe studio, which a deluxe studio has a little kitchenette. It has either a king or a queen size bed or two, and it usually has a fold out bed as well. So you have the ability to usually in a deluxe studio sleep 5 people. And then
so is it per person or is it just you just use your points?
You just use your points. Use your points. And then in terms of tickets and things of that nature, you'll have to be more mindful of that because it's a separate exchange for tickets and things of that nature. I luck out because I'm an annual pass holder. So I book my room. I already have my tickets squared away. I just need a flight and I usually rent a car. So I'm there.
Yeah.
Just to, let's see. So, and the other thing that I can speak a little bit about is I didn't buy on my first tour. Go on your tour. They usually have a freebie. I think on our first tour, they offered us, it was $200 on like a gift card for Disney World. So we got to go have dinner twice on Disney, which was really nice. And we also, they have in several of the resorts, they have an ice cream bar at the end where they feed you ice cream. They're like, hey, if you don't want to make this decision today, here, have some ice cream. Think it over.
That'll help.
Just in case. It's kind of like in the car business. Do you want a coffee, water, tea? Can I get you anything? Yeah. So, but again, don't jump in unless you're for sure ready to make that decision. What I can tell you is we bought, I believe, 175 points. My only regret about it is that I didn't buy more. And it's sort of like we talked about in terms of the keys. You know, you think it's expensive now. It's only going to get more expensive.
Right. So do your payments change?
Payments remain the same. And
that's cool.
So I believe they have financing options. I believe they have 10, 15, and maybe even, I think it's 5, 10, and 15-year options to pay it all off. So at worst, you're paid off in 15 years. And then what they have
is still a 50-year contract.
It's still a 50-year contract. The only thing that you have to pay after that is your annual dues, which I want to say ranges, depending on where your home resort is, ranges anywhere between about $300 to $700 approximately. But that's for the entire year. So it's, you know, when you think about the cost justification to stay at one of these resorts, let's just pick one at the boardwalk. If I were to stay there, if I were to Google it right now and want to stay there next week and stay in a deluxe studio, it would probably range somewhere between $500 to $700 a night. So when you start really weighing the possibilities and weighing the cost versus the reward, you sort of begin to justify it a little bit. It's not for everyone. I would say if you're someone who doesn't plan to go to Disney often, this isn't for you. I would also say that if you're someone who doesn't plan their trip and just goes on a whim, which we do sometimes, it's very difficult to find a room. It can be extremely difficult, especially during those big holiday months that everyone wants to get away to find something. And the reason why they have a home resort is because your home resort allows you to book a room 11 months in advance.
Oh, geez.
So that's why they have what's called a home resort. And then all of the other resorts, I believe it's on a 9-month period where you can book. So you get those extra 2 months when you have a home resort. You can book there. Like I said, I've had it now since 2018. I've only stayed at my home resort once. I've found the couple resorts that I really love to stay at, one of which is the Boardwalk. And that's what we decide to do. So, and that's, like I said, that's one of the bigger misconceptions about it. Everyone thinks, oh my God, my home resort, I've got to stay there.
Right.
That's not necessarily the case. You can stay wherever you'd like. It's just a matter of making that point system work in your favor.
Is it cheaper to stay at point-wise to stay at your home resort? Like, is it cheaper to stay there?
No.
And that's not. Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
And that's part of the reason why we don't necessarily stay there. If anything, we're on sort of the higher end of points if we wanted to stay there.
Okay.
But if it's available, then that's where we're going to end up staying.
Okay.
You know, and it just sort of limits or negates how many other trips we can take. I like
the only benefit is really the extra 2 months.
That in that aspect, yes.
Okay.
You know, you can buy into other contracts. So there are third-party sites that offer authentic Disney contracts for DVC. You can buy into the Beach Club, and it's all based off of when they started offering that contracts. And, you know, so if there's 23 years left, that's what you're buying. And that's your new home resort. That's how many years you have left, things of that nature. So there are some third-party sites out there. I would recommend, if you're just starting out, definitely get the information direct from Disney to start. And then you can make a decision through one of those third-party sites later on.
Okay.
But I think if you're just starting out, you have some general questions, you want some general answers, the best place to get them is from Disney. I want to say over the course of the time that we were researching, we dealt with 3 different salespeople. All 3 of them were kind. None of them were pushy. None of them were overly salesy. One of them was a little bit more than the others, but you know, it's their livelihood. That's what they get paid to do. So I get it, and I would encourage all of you to understand that as well. Like,
well, we're both we're both in that business, so
exactly. and if nothing else, and I know that you're the same way. We're not trying to push you to buy anything because it benefits us. We're trying to ensure that you're getting the proper experience all the way around, and that was genuinely how we felt as well. But I could see how someone may feel as though it was a little pushy. The other thing that I can say is you're given almost like a extensive amount of paperwork to sort through, which is kind of barbaric, but I went through it on the plane. And what they do is they actually set up a call with another individual, and that sort of becomes your liaison or your concierge that you can call whenever you have any questions. If there's something that is perplexing or you don't understand, and they go over it in full detail for you. They make sure you understand it. The couple things that they do that's additional, because obviously with Disney, and I think we sort of touched on it earlier too, is they have perks for just about everything.
Yeah.
So they have what's called Moonlight DVC days. So they have specific areas of the park that are closed off to DVC members.
Oh, wow.
They've had DVC like water park days where they close out the water park specifically for DVC members. So they try to do little things like that throughout the course of the entire year, where they invite specifically DVC guests to specific things. I know they had when goodness, I can't think of it, when the Star Wars area opened up, they invited DVC members to come in and take a look at it first. And
oh, cool.
So that there's little perks like that throughout the course of the year that they try to throw at you. Obviously last year was weird because of the pandemic, but they really, what I would say is, even with all of that, they did a really good job by us to ensure that, I don't think they utilized any of our points. They were able to push stuff that, normally they wouldn't have. So just per usual, Disney does a really good job of ensuring that their customers or their clients are really well taken care of. And yeah, that's the real general gist. I could go into more specifics, but I think with anything, the best thing to do, if you have other questions, I'm available to talk about it and get into it even more. Yeah. I have my little black notebook of Disney stuff. I have a ton of notes. I had a lot of questions. I was that type of person where I wanted to know everything I could before I made a decision. And that's really what I would encourage people to do, is ensure that they're getting all the information and they understand it, and making a financial decision that is best for their family, their friends, everything. That's the big thing for sure.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you diving into that. So that's so cool.
Not a problem at all. And like I said, there's probably more that I'm missing. And I probably
you have to put a down payment down?
Nope. There are zero money out of pocket options that are available.
It's just a monthly plan over however so many years, right? And then that's just all it is.
Exactly. And it boils down sort of like a lease payment. You just got to decide on what you feel comfortable putting down and what, sort of makes the most sense for you in terms of a monthly. I would say, it's fairly reasonable. It's more reasonable than we initially thought. Mm-hmm. And again, like I said, the only real regret that I had, well, and it's funny that I say this now, because when we were at Hollywood Studios, we were walking to the Toy Story Land area of Hollywood Studios, and just to the right before the bathrooms, there is a DVC kiosk, and we had stopped and we had started talking to the gentleman, and this family, this lovely family, came up and she said, the mother, clearly the mother of the group, came up and said, "My only regret was that I didn't buy more." And I said, "No, okay, thank you." Yeah. But now, really thinking about it, that is my only regret, is that we didn't say, "Oh, you know what? Let's just, it's a 15 or a 10, whatever we did, 10-year contract. Let's just do it. Why not?" Yeah. And have more opportunities to go. You're staying at the best resorts on property. But overall, I'm thrilled to be a DVC member. I love the benefits. My only hang up that I don't care for, because I do like to plan on a whim sometimes. I almost planned a vacation for this weekend, is that when you do that, there's not as many options as you'd like. And oftentimes, if you're looking for, if you're on a Wednesday and you're looking at Friday, there's nothing for DVC at that point. You've really got to be a planner to really take advantage of it to its full effect, and ensure that you're utilizing your points to the best that it can be used. So those are my only hangups about it. And again, since 2018, and I love it.
Cool. That is awesome. I appreciate that.
No problem.
I appreciate you breaking it all down for us. I don't think we really have anything else to discuss. This is a great first episode back for season 2.
Absolutely.
And people kind of hear about that. And again, I thank you for coming on board and welcome aboard. And it's going to be a great time. And
I am super duper excited to be here. I have so many ideas that I can't wait to bring to the table. I have just so much love and admiration for you guys since the very beginning.
Right.
You guys had an episode of Walt's Apartment last week where you talked about Chris and your love for him. And I didn't have an opportunity to say it this week on the show, but I do want to take a moment with you while it's just guys' night. Mm-hmm. I want to tell you that it meant so much to me as a male figure to see you and David and Amber and forgive me, I'm blanking on it, Andy, to see all of you break down for just a moment and say how much you appreciated him, not only as a person that you knew as a co-host, but as a man, as a father, it was so nice to see other, and I don't mean to segregate Amber from this, but it was so nice to see other men break down for a moment and have a moment of vulnerability that really meant something to you, meant something to Andy, meant something to David. I think the more times that can happen, I think it provides a little window of opportunity for other young boys to see that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to have emotion. It's okay to have all of this angst and sadness. It's okay to have those things. But what I loved even more, and I think it was really what solidified, this move for me, was afterwards you said, now let's move on to the fun stuff. Let's, you reset. And you have to.
And that's all Chris would have wanted was to do that. And that was Chris would have been mad that we got upset. I mean, you said you didn't. He would have been like, "What the hell are you guys doing? Come on now, this is a bunch of BS." That's just how he was, and this isn't something to be upset about. Blah blah blah. But it's funny. I messaged all of you guys Thursday morning because Lisa, my wife, told me, she said you should reach out to Joy, and Joy's his wife. And I said I don't know if I should, and I didn't want to. I just because it was exactly a year to the day. And I was just like, I messaged her more and said, hey, thinking about you and your family today. Hope all, She texted me at 10 o'clock that night and said, that was amazing. Thank you so much. He would have approved. And that's all I needed. And I didn't need anything, but to know that he at least watched, and to see his family, a couple of his family members actually popped on there and
that was really
talked
nice.
about it. Yeah, it was just, we'll do that every year. We'll do that same thing every year for him. And it was just cool. And I appreciate the kind words. And yes, I did have a few emotional moments, and my wife was texting me during it. Are you okay? Are you okay? And and it's just like, other friends. I got to work the next day. Hey, you good? We know it was a tough day, and it's cool. People know how much he meant to me. When he passed away, I tried to go to work that day, and I couldn't. I had to leave. It was just It's like I said. I think he'd be happy with everything that we're doing. So,
and it was really beautifully done. And like I said, as a man, I really appreciated that aspect of what you were doing. And I think the more that can happen, the more vulnerability that we can show. But not only that, but the ability to reset.
Yeah,
it's just going to pave the way for the betterment of our entire world. So
for sure. We're gonna have a great season. I can't wait. It's gonna be great. Thanks for sharing all your stuff with me tonight, Ethan. Thanks for talking Disney parks with us. We're gonna do this again in 2 weeks. We're gonna stay on it every 2 weeks, even if it's just me and you, or if it's me and Breanna, if it's me and Shawn, if it's me and whoever. We're gonna do it. We're gonna get this done. Thank you for staying up late.
Of course.
To all of our listeners, thank you for everything, and we hope you have a magical day. Good night, everyone.